Well, for more on U.S.-Australia ties, I'm joined by Jared Mondschein from Sydney. Jared is a research fellow at the United States Study Centre at the University of Sydney. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So as we know, security, tourism and of course trade were widely expected to top the agenda. So in terms of the progress that we've seen on these fronts, what were the expectations ahead of this visit?
Well, it's tough to say because the Trump administration, more than most, is hard to predict. But I think we got, in many ways, what we expected, in that we saw a reaffirmation of the economic and security ties between the U.S., as you said, Australia's largest destination of foreign investment and largest investor in Australia. It's the U.S. And so that's why the Prime Minister called the U.S. its most important economic partner, and why they also regularly refer to it as its #1 security partner as well.
So how would you characterize how the overall trade relationship has changed between the U.S. and Australia in recent years?
Yeah, well, traditionally, Australia's #1 security partner has also been its #1 trading partner. That was initially the UK, and then it became the US. But in recent years, it has become China. So while the U.S. is now a second or third largest trading partner of Australia, it remains a major security partner. At the same time, Australia has to balance the fact that China is its #1 trading partner.
Now, we know that discussions about China did come up quite a bit in their talks. How do you think their differing views on China's role in global trade is going to affect the U.S.-Australia relationship?
Yeah, that's tough to say. I mean, already we see what happened at the port of Darwin, where a local government sold access to the port to a Chinese company. That was a major source of tension during the Obama administration with the Australian government. And I think there may be more instances of this in the future, but for right now, the U.S. and Australia are both cognizant of the fact that they have a tough balancing act right now.
And something else interesting to add to this balancing act, we know that Turnbull had said that this proposed infrastructure scheme that involves Australia, the US, Japan and India really isn't intended to rival China's Belt and Road Initiative. What are your thoughts on how that dynamic might work?
Yeah, there's still details to come out on that, and it's not clear how much cooperation you're going to see amongst those countries. And so the devil's in the details in many ways. And you can see what's happened with China's One Belt, One Road initiative is that in many instances, it's not as great as many countries had hoped it to be when you get into payments on debt and so forth.
So certainly still a lot of details forthcoming. Now let's take a look at the U.S.-Australia relationship and the areas that they already cooperate on and some potentially new areas of cooperation.
Yeah, right now the U.S., as I said, is the #1 security partner. But I think there's this administration in Australia and in the U.S. are really confident they want to go ahead with stronger economic and bilateral relationships, their economic bilateral relationship. They really want to cement that, and they really want to focus on that, especially when the president in the U.S. is not very popular in Australia. And so the more that the Australian administration government can sell the economic benefits to your regular Australian, the better for U.S.-Australian ties.
And being as how Donald Trump is viewed in Australia, how do you see the U.S.-Australia economic relationship developing going forward?
Yeah, well, the U.S. Is a unique economic partner because it invests over $1 billion in R&D spending. U.S. firms, that is, in Australia invest over $1 billion in R&D spending in Australia every year. And so U.S. firms here are really at the forefront of Australia's innovation. And after some years of a mining boom, Australia really needs to find new ways of productivity. And I think innovation is going to be it, and the U.S. is really an integral partner for that.
And very quickly, we have about 20 seconds left. Any potential challenges, if you had to name one that may be forthcoming in the U.S.-Australia relationship, what might that be?
I think China is definitely the #1 challenge for both of these countries. They are very heavily intertwined with China on an economic aspect, but at the same time, Australia is in many ways more exposed to China in terms of its trade.
All right, well, thank you so much. Jared Mondschein there, United States Study Centre at the University of Sydney.